What do we know about how the talks are unfolding?
The talks have restarted, but the latest rhetoric shows that it's unlikely a deal is going to be reached anytime soon. As you mentioned before, Beijing is demanding that tariffs be removed, all of these existing tariffs, but it's very unlikely that's going to be done, considering trade hawks in D.C. want these tariffs to remain in place. Also, the U.S. had before argued that these tariffs would only be removed after there was some promise and some evidence that China was going to not renege on some of its promises. And tariffs are, of course, also just one of the many contentious issues on both sides. There's this enforcement issue, intellectual property issues, as well as Huawei. Larry Kudlow recently told Bloomberg Television that Huawei would remain on the entity list, though they may make some arrangements to expand the ability of American companies to sell some of their components to the firm. And we also heard from Larry Kudlow not to expect any solution anytime soon. He said, if you want quality, don't expect speed. So though we do have some positive sentiment that there are at least phone conversations ongoing, we're not expecting a solution anytime soon.
Selina, China's auto sales numbers are due out soon. The industry's had a few problems. What are we expecting?
This is arguably the worst car slump in a generation. And if you take a look at this Bloomberg chart, you'll see the downward trend, as well as more than 10 consecutive months of declining passenger auto sales. They fell 17% in May, but Bloomberg Intelligence is forecasting it could shrink at a slower pace given the very low base from last year. The auto market has been facing issues from the slowing economy as well as the trade war that's really dampening consumer sentiment, especially in these big ticket item areas like cars and in some of these rural areas where a lot of times these purchasers are going to be their first car purchase. That's actually been hit particularly hard in some of these smaller cities, and that then translates into local Chinese car makers being hit harder than some of these big foreign brands that have a bigger cushion from some of these buyers in the Tier 1 cities. The government has introduced many stimulus efforts, tax cuts, but the expectation is that those benefits won't be seen until the second half of the year at the earliest. I do want to point out, however, one bright spot, which is new energy vehicle sales. That sector has been growing amid all of the troubles in the broader auto market.